Greetings, fillies and gentlecolts, and welcome to Flankcaster, a premier Australian brony podcast. I'm your host, Formal Riot, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the sweet, sweet sound of my voice. Here we go. Hello and welcome back. As I've mentioned before, I am Formal Riot, the American-Australian host of Flankcaster, and once again, I'd like to thank you for having a listen. Fortunately, though, we're not going to be embarking on this endeavor just me and you, fair listener. I have a bit of a panel of myself as well, and I'm going to introduce them one at a time in incredibly awkward fashion. First of all, he is the lead artist in a very prominent Skype group and has many connections all over the place, the one and only Wolfie.
Hello there!
So, Wolfie, are you as excited as I am about all of this?
Yes, I'm very excited.
This is pretty big. Like, we're charting into new territory.
Yeah, first official episode.
It's been
excited.
It's been a really long way coming.
Yep.
It really has. And, you know, where else would we be without someone coming alongside trying to stab us in the back at every turn and corner?
Yeah, gotta look out for that traitor.
Yes, where is he anyways? Oh, Stingray? You around?
Stingray.
Hello there.
Even the sound of his voice makes my spine crawl.
Look, you better not be talking cross behind my back.
Why would we ever do that? That
Why
sounds...
would we ever say stuff behind the traitor's back?
That's not us at all. We're all about love and friendship and kindness and tolerance.
And flanks.
And, oh yes, those as well. Yee! That being said, though, let's just dig right into it. First of all, big news, which I'm sure everyone knows about, official release date for the third season. How huge is that? November 11th, it is official, just like, you know, we almost are. I guess this is our premiere. It's a third season premiere. It's all together. It's all exciting. Any thoughts from you two right off the bat?
I am looking forward to it. I am very much looking forward to it. I've also taken a look at the released episode names for future episodes, but
keep those hush-hush for now.
Them as well?
We'll keep those hush-hush.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the new season soon.
I'd be a little shocked if you weren't. I mean, it would go against, being a fan of the show and all of that.
Not like that SpringStingray fella.
Hey, I am a little excited.
Oh!
Just a little.
The traitor tells us the truth.
I heard about that one episode, and that got me a little bit pumped.
That one episode. That being said, though, I think it's kind of important that our listeners understand why you are considered a traitor in our eyes, if you'd be so kind as to indulge.
Well, when I first went through and watched all the episodes, I was like, yes, I really like this. But once I went back and tried to watch it again, I was like, I'm not even sure anymore. I don't think I can like this anymore.
Ladies and gentlemen, SpringStingray does not like the show.
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun.
You're all just a bunch of blokes.
That aside, though, it's not just us three today either, as we also have a rather huge guest in my eyes. We have been fortunate enough to snag up. He is the head of the art team in the Fallout Equestria Project, as well as just being an amazing artist, full stop. He is, of course, Keyframe. For those of you who've been following, Equestria Softworks, you should already know who he is. But we have him here. We kidnapped him, tied him up, threw him in the boot of my trunk, and got him here, so...
It was actually a very comfortable ride.
Well, I did give you some pillows.
Right? When I was kidnapped to become part of this podcast, that is a surprisingly comfy trunk.
Yeah.
I mean, that is what got me on board, man.
As driver, I like to go around corners softly.
And I like to treat my hostages with kindness and respect, the Fluttershy way. You get pillows and water and, little snacks along the way.
Are you okay, hostage?
Oh my god, that's adorable. But yes, thank you guys for having me on the show. I got to say, this is the most pleasant kidnapping come interview I've had so far.
We do our best. We definitely do try. And thank you so much for agreeing to come on. I mean, it's a maiden voyage. It's risky, but you dove right in, head first into that trunk.
Yeah, pleasure too. They had the candy sign up and everything. I just knew it was a good deal.
Yeah, and we didn't use the half-assed, stupid, disgusting candy either. We got full-on Cadbury chocolates,
Mars bars.
It wasn't even a struggle.
No, too easy.
You just stepped right in.
Yep. First of all, just going right into this, though, I would like to ask you, in case there are any listeners out there who are coming on and aren't exactly sure what the Fallout Equestria Project is, would you like to explain that for them?
Sure. Fallout Equestria is a fan fiction written by Kat. I'm not entirely sure of pronunciation because Kat has actually never really been properly interviewed voice-wise. On a show, it's only ever been via text and stuff, so it's more of a sort of secret person. But the author came up with this story which crossed over the Fallout sort of world mythos with the My Little Pony world, and it actually ended up becoming one of the most popular My Little Pony fan fictions that has ever been produced. It's the only story to actually get a legendary tag on Equestria Daily, and it's really, really long and really, really deep, and in my personal opinion, really, really awesome. So I became a fan of sort of the story, and then found out about this side project, which is that people wanted to actually turn the story into a game. And that's been wanted to be done before via little RPG Maker games. But the actual premise behind this one was to take the actual Fallout 3 engine and actually turn it into a proper sort of first-person shooter action RPG game that you're used to, but you're actually getting to play it as the characters from the story.
Little Pip!
Now with
Yeah,
that,
Little Pip.
So you actually are playing as Little Pip then?
Yes. The premise behind what we're doing is we thought about whether we could actually create the game as if you could make any kind of pony you wanted. And we realized that being able to stay at least faithful to the story and still being able to produce the game in some kind of reasonable time frame would be absolutely impossible if we were going to build it around a way that you could just make any kind of character. So what we decided to do is that for this particular version of it, we are going to produce it as if you are Little Pip. You still have the ability to have the freedom of choice, such as being able to just blow everyone up and be completely evil. But the difference is that we're actually able to build it more around the storyline that was written and loved by the author, while still being able to create a really good game and actually being able to produce it in a time frame that's, not 5 to 6 years.
Yeah.
Exactly. It would be good to see this game released, within this decade, I imagine.
Yeah. Actually, just then you said in this particular version. Is that like an indicator for other versions of the mod, or is it just...
Possibly thinking about maybe doing a version in which you can create your own pony later on, but we only really wanted to do that once we've actually finished the game itself, and there may be another version later on where you can create your own pony. The reason behind that is that doing things like we can create the game as if you are a unicorn, which the Little Pip, the main character, is. We had a lot of difficulty actually coming up with ways how Earth ponies and Pegasus would actually work in game. Because there's the differences between the player character and the NPCs. NPCs, we can have them jump, we can have them fly around, we can have them carry weapons in their mouths and things like that. The issue with having a first-person shooter where you've got to carry a lot of things in your mouth is that a lot of stuff is on the screen. We'd have to work out custom flight scripts and stuff like that. The nice thing about the main character being a unicorn is we can actually float weapons around and actually give you, I suppose, a bit more of a god mode because you are a unicorn and therefore can carry weapons around a lot easier. It makes it a lot easier for the player character to simply be Little Pip and have us actually produce a game and sort out all the issues with the other two pony races later on.
Yeah, also, the original Fallout engine didn't support levitation, did it?
No, we're actually having to come up with some pretty impressive, I guess you wouldn't call them hacks, but modifications to the game system. The programming team is a really stellar bunch of people working on it, and they've come up with some ways to reshade the game. They've come out with ways to sort of work out things to do with flight and things like that. So it's going to be really interesting to see what we can actually pull off as far as modifications to the game engine to really get the best product out there with a lot of accuracy. So, no having to take out Pegasi or have to work something else out with unicorns. We'll actually see what we can work out in the game.
This is blowing my mind, just the scale of all this.
Yeah, I'm doing a game design course, and just thinking about all the work that has to go into that makes me tired.
I understand.
I'm just feeling a
but
little
if all
bit
this comes through, which I'm
now.
sure it will, it's definitely promises to be quite amazing, which leads me to ask, how exactly did you wind up becoming the art lead for such an elaborate project?
It is an ambitious project. How I became the art lead was actually a bit of an odd story and not something I originally expected when I came into it. The previous art lead, Fiasco, absolutely fantastic concept artist. If any of you have ever worked for doing quick paintings in Photoshops or things like that, and if you've seen a lot of the artwork that was originally produced for Fallout Equestria, a lot of that was actually Fiasco's work, and he's really, really good at what he does. What happened is that on Equestria Dahlia, up came a recruitment video, which they wanted to put together, and they, obviously did, saying, hi, we need people for the programming team, we're looking for voice actors, we want people for the art team to help put stuff together, and the little fanboy inside me just squeed, because I absolutely love the Fallout Equestria sort of world and mythos and the arcs that go on there, and I thought being able to produce a game would be really, really good. So I joined up to the forums, and they decided that, well, okay, I'd like to become a part of the art team. And so instead of putting up the artwork that I'd already done, I decided I'll do something a little different, and I will produce a new piece of artwork as if it were a design piece to actually submit as if I were on team for something in the game. And so I redesigned the 10mm pistol to work firing from a pony's mouth, with two different versions. One's a clean one as if it was newly produced, one's a rehacked together one from the Wasteland, as well as how the firing mechanism work, how the lineups would work and things like that, and really sort of tried to break it down as if I were having to solve the problem as someone on team. And I submitted that, and they went, yes, you seem perfect for the job, welcome to the art team. Which went really, really well.
No fooling around.
Yeah, and I've had a background sort of organizing groups and people after producing my own podcast, and we actually did a audio play last year, which had, I think, up to 14 voice actors per episode.
Oh man!
Wow.
And just organizing that amount of people, and I've worked with conventions before, I figured that, well, okay, maybe I can help get some of these things greasing. Well, getting these things greasing sounds like a terrible term, but I mean, it's in the mechanism behind it. And it turns out that Fiasco actually ended up having to leave the project, unfortunately. And so I was actually approached by one of the people on staff that said, Keyframe, would you like to come on as the art lead? You seem to know what you're doing. And I said yes, and as well as I could, I hope I've been getting the machine that is the background behind producing something like this working reasonably well.
From what I've seen of your art, oh man, it's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
If anyone is interested in the art as well, Keyframe, you've been nice enough to give us some links there, so they will be uploaded down below so you at home can see exactly where he's coming from in the design of the weapon itself. But then there's also another picture you showed us that was a little bit more, I guess, gory.
Okay. Yeah. What it is that the Fallout Equestria story has raiders in it. For those of you that don't know, raiders in the actual Fallout universe are basically the psycho cannibal gun fodder for the game. They're pretty much everywhere, and they're not too strong, but they generally tend to be pretty nasty. And what they do is they tend to eat people and tear them apart and eviscerate them and hang them from the walls and stuff like that. And that aspect of the raiders was actually brought over into the Fallout Equestria universe, which, in contrast to the happy world of the My Little Pony stuff normally, makes them very scary, because they're basically crazy cannibal psychos in a world of herbivores.
I remember first reading about the raiders, and I actually had to stop reading for a while because I was like, "This is horrible. I love it."
I remember distinctly, during one of the first encounters with the raiders, there was one whose cutie mark was a severed pony's head on a pike.
Yep.
which I thought was the most ingenious cutie mark ever.
Yeah. They become really good at what they do, which is being raiders, which is, murderous psychopaths. But we had one of the guys on team actually produce a little 3D model of a hanging pony corpse. And being the art lead, I figured, okay, well, my job here is to turn it from what is here, which is good, into something really, really good. Because, wring as much good stuff out of it as I can. And so the picture that you guys see, I will warn you, it does have gore in it. Is this hanging pony corpse. And I figured instead of it just being stiff and having the sort of hooks put in where it is, you're going to have to put them in with the scapula, and so I had a look at the skeletal structure, and then I figured how would it actually hang. Then I figured, well, I should probably actually do a render for this. And so I started painting this picture out and put the hooks into the eyeballs, and I've never done a gore picture before, and I was just painting it through, and I stopped and I looked up at my screen. And I zoomed out and realized that I had made a yellow pony with pink hair. And
Did you do that?
This terrible wave of guilt just crashed over me. I'm like, I can't murder Fluttershy. This would be a terrible thing to do. And so what I did is I actually changed the hair and made sure that it's got this Lucky Clover cutie mark, which one of my friends said was one of the worst things I've ever done. Because there's this dead pony called Lucky Clover. So I ended up having to change it from what looked like Fluttershy into this yellow coated blue maned one, because I just felt so guilty about what I'd done off the get-go.
Oh, I don't know. I'd still, looking at that, it is an amazing piece of art, albeit, on the dark side.
Yeah.
But you can definitely see great improvement from what was initially done, for sure. And I guess leading into one last question, I know this kind of seems far-fetched and out there when you're working on something of this magnitude, but, when the project is all said and done and everyone loves it and is having fun and all the people who've been working on it have become famous, I have to ask, would you plan on starting any new projects off of that? Is there anything in your foreseeable future, or is it time to keep your head down? And
I don't know about producing any new games. That'd have to be about whether something comes along, but definitely the experience of being an art lead on a project like this is going to be good. I want to produce more pony art. I want to go to some conventions, do a couple of panels and things like that. Those that may or may not happen before or after the project with the scope of it. I to be honest, I really don't know. I don't really know what's going to be happening. The project might take, or probably will take, around 2 years to actually produce. The script writing team is absolutely flawed through and rewritten all the dialogue in the game and worked out what everyone's going to say. The unfortunate bit is on an actual video game project, the team that starts off early is usually the art team, because there's so much stuff to actually produce. Especially in this, is that we're going to recycle as much as we can, but we're having to remake so much of the world, from weapons, from ships, from the actual landscapes and things like that, that the art team actually started later on this than script writing and programming and things like that. So we're currently playing catch-ups. I think it will take around 2 years to produce, but you can't quote me on that, because we don't actually know, since it is entirely volunteer driven. So, 2 years down the track, I may be a millionaire sitting in a yacht, or I might be sitting at the corner of PonyCons with a, we'll draw for food sign. I don't know what's going to happen.
Actually, I've seen full game conversions before, and I've seen them just stop. Is the Fallout Equestria Project, is it well managed? Do you have a strict timeline that you're working with?
No.
Or is it...
No. Working within a strict timeline would be very difficult on something like this, because we're building up the art team at the moment. We've got, I think, about 30 or 40 people on art team. We're actually looking for more people doing 3D work, if anyone's interested. We need modelers. Modelers are the bread and butter of a project like this, so if you want in on something, that'd be great, and you can come and help us out. But as far as strict timelines, we can't really say you need to have this done by X, because sometimes life just comes along and kicks you in the throat. So
what areas of the 3D modeling exactly? Is it like the actual characters or like backgrounds and buildings and stuff, or
Mostly objects, scenery, backgrounds, clothing, and things like that. As far as the pony models go, once we've got a base model down, that'll actually be modified by the game's engine.
okay,
Yeah.
sweet.
So with that, I'd like to once again thank you for coming on and letting us ask you a lot of questions about this project. It's good to hear you actually be so open about it and not keeping it behind closed doors, hush hush.
Nope, can't talk about anything. Just like every single game designer ever.
Exactly. It's like I know a lot of games try to keep everything sort of withdrawn and hidden, and I'm sure there are things that you're not telling us, but it's good to hear that progress is being made and that we can expect not only a product in the future, but from what it sounds like, a really in-depth, amazing project as well. So
yeah, I wish I had more production pieces that I could actually show you, but it being early days on the project, we've got to get the systems working first before we can actually start saying, hey, look at this awesome city we've built.
Yeah, I suppose you do need to actually build the city. You can't have, the cardboard cutout situation.
That is a wonderful idea. A cardboard cutout city.
Well, I'm trying to remember what movie it was. It was a Mel Brooks movie in the West where they actually... Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles,
Blazing
yes.
Saddles,
Yeah.
where they built the city and like a whole new city, which I really wish they did in the Parasprite episode with Twilight, because I was totally expecting a Blazing Saddle reference to come flying in there, but unfortunately that movie contains a
We
gratuitous...
have a minute!
Well, I'm pretty sure they do it in a minute in the Blazing Saddles movie. Unfortunately, that movie does have a gratuitous amount of the N-word, as it were, and thus might not be too kid-friendly, and the reference would go over everyone's head.
What, nature?
Yes, nature. But that being said, there is
Yes.
the Big Lebowski reference, and that has its own fair share of lewd drawings in that movie, so who knows? Missed opportunity, perhaps, as it were. We're just going to take a quick little break now. Believe it or not, we have a little musical number I wanted to share. An Australian artist by the name of ExplodingPonyToast has recently released his first track. It's been featured on Equestria Daily as well. It's called Vinyl's First Scratch. So go ahead, have a listen. We're going to take a quick little break and be right back. Keyframe, I'm assuming you're going to be sticking with us?
If you guys will have me, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like you have much
Sure.
of a...
We didn't steal you from...
You're my ride home, so I have to kind of stick around and wait.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're with us for the long haul. You don't have a say in the matter. So, with that being said, here is Vinyl's First Scratch. Hello and welcome back to Flankcaster. Once again, this is our maiden voyage, our first show. As a result, we're playing someone's first song. We have a guest who is working a part of the first huge collaboration Fallout 3 pony game. That might be a little specific, but, it's a first nonetheless. And I figured for our next segment, why not focus on more firsts? So for all you bronies out there who are heading to their first ever meetup, we decided to put a little bit of a survival guide for you, just so you can get through the day and get the most out of it. As a result, so all of us have come up with our own little set of rules which we'd like to share with you. I remember my first meetup, actually. It was a Brisbane meetup, and we went and played Laser Force, and it was good fun. However, I don't really feel I utilized the entire thing. I kind of spent the entire time off to the side by myself, and I feel a guide would have been very, very helpful. So here are some tips and tricks in our, brony meetup guide.
All right, so I'm actually fairly new to the public brony fandom, well, Australian brony fandom, so I haven't been to a meetup myself. However, from inferences, I've assumed that if you bring food, everyone will instantly love you.
Especially if it's cupcakes.
I can confirm that this is true for at least South Australia.
I was going to say, isn't South Australia Krispy Kremes?
Ooh.
No,
okay.
We're one of the only ones without Krispy Kremes.
Oh.
So if you bring Krispy Kremes, you probably will be loved by everyone. So that's good.
Actually, I think that happened. That happened with the recent one where Moonlight Siesta came over to Western Australia. She brought Krispy Kremes.
That must have been the story I heard then.
Yeah, it must have been. I have to wonder, though, with Krispy Kremes in general, how Pinkie Pie would handle that much sugar in that, refined figure if she wouldn't just explode.
The world cannot know this information. It will explode upon discovery.
It's like dissolving salt in a salty liquid already. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I know. It's just like you bite into it and it liquefies and soaks in, and I guess that's why, they're so amazing and delicious.
Wait, you mean that because Pinkie Pie is filled with so much sugar, it's physically impossible for her to actually eat a Krispy Kreme donut?
It's just like whenever she tries to bite into a Krispy Kreme, it just something happens and she physically cannot. Like she gets a twitch or something every time it happens. She always drops it.
She's like a camel. She's like a camel in which her belly is just a store of sugar, and as she uses it up, it'll slowly dissolve.
So I'm just thinking magnets with the North Pole and just kind of like she tries to put it in her mouth and then it just shoots out like a cannon.
Actually, this was a theory I had about the Large Hadron Collider for a little while, because it would never work. For like a year, it wouldn't work. And I said to a friend that, the reason it could never work is because it will destroy the universe. So the only reason the universe is still here is because the Hadron Collider can never work. And then it did work and blew that theory out of the water, so...
Yeah, but now we know the truth. It's because Pinkie Pie has yet to eat a Krispy Kreme donut.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So we're good. That's never going to happen. We're nice and safe.
We're good for now, unless they make like an Australia or something in the show.
Oh, the pun
crap.
in that one was strong.
Anyway, moving on to rule number 2.
Chapter 2. I will take this chapter on full steam. Deodorant is a must.
No. A better one is having a shower beforehand is a must, and deodorant.
A shower,
Yes.
deodorant, cologne, something to keep you, smelling nice, because you're going to be spending a lot of time hugging each other.
Yeah.
Hugs are a valuable part of the community, and that means raised arms and raised armpits, and, people's heads may or may not be getting shoved in there, and there's no faster way to kill a friendship than smelly pits.
Yeah, there's actually a good tip for that, is, if there are those of you out in the community who eat a lot of meat will actually give you bad body odor. If you're going to go to a meet, for the next 2 days beforehand, eat less meat and more vegetables, and it will actually give you a better body smell. That's not an excuse not to have a shower and use deodorant. But...
Damn!
I was going to say, because I'm a vegetarian, I'm pretty much exempt.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm a vegetarian, no showers ever again. Sorry, roommate. Deal with it. It's because I don't eat meat. That does probably explain why hippies smell so poorly, though.
No, that's just the not showering.
If they're still around.
Well, no, that's what I meant. You know, that line of thinking is like, because I'm a vegetarian, I don't have to eat meat.
Oh.
Yeah, I was
okay.
making all the connections there, and none of them were
Christ, that was
clicking.
You all
Juice.
just got lost.
So moving on from that, I guess another, important tip as well, because I have 2 chapters being all high and mighty and important, would be pretty much don't expect crazy people. Go in there expecting normal people, and honestly, you will feel much more comfortable faster. Again, going back with my first experience, I was expecting, people to be throwing plush ponies at me nonstop, and I was a little off-put when that didn't happen. So, people are normal, surprisingly. Even people in this fandom are more normal than you would think.
Everyone in the Brony fandom actually, I think is... Well, no, not everyone, but a lot of people tend to be more
That
normal
was a
than you
far
think.
stretch. I don't think everyone in this fandom is normal.
Hello!
We're normal, come join us.
Yeah, wear pony swag.
I have a really useful... Speaking of swag, I have a really useful tip for everyone, actually. Wear or take something with you. This is a 2-tiered one. Wear or take something with you that will more easily identify you as a brony. If you turn up to an event and you're just sort of wandering around and it's like, say in a big food court and there's a bunch of groups of people, you may not be able to tell which group is which, or someone may not be able to automatically tell that you were in the group. Just something subtle is fine, like a little badge or something, but have something along which will actually help identify you as part of the group. It makes it a lot easier at your first meet, seeing who else is there for the first meet. The other one is if you can wear a color combination or something in particular which people will recognize you as yourself on the forum or as your character. For instance, my character actually has a similar hairstyle to me, not that I have, blue and silver hair, and my glasses he actually wears. So if someone were to meet me in person and maybe recognize that my voice, they'd be like, "Aren't you that keyframe guy?" I'm like, "Why, yes, I am." So that sort of thing actually helps solidify in the group who's who, and it makes it easier for people to actually talk and meet each other.
Yeah, I can vouch for that, because with the South Australian meetups, we often have new people coming in, more and more people coming to meetups, and I can't actually remember the amount of times that people have been able to tell where we were just because A, we were making a lot of noise, and B, we were all pretty much all wearing pony stuff.
Yeah.
And going from what you said about the OC, my OC actually has the same hairstyle as I do, so that helped.
One of the only articles that I've ever bought that have been in regards to something My Little Pony related was a little badge, it's just Doctor Who's cutie mark, and that'll probably go down well for people being able to identify me.
Yeah.
I do know a couple of other people though who have those badges as well, so hopefully you don't get too mixed up. I think your best bet, to be completely honest, would be to show up essentially in the spy getup from Team Fortress 2. Just come wearing a paper plate over your head so we don't have to see your face, and I think everyone will love you much, much more.
Just a paper plate with Pinkie Pie.
No, just a paper plate. You don't even need to put anything on. Just hide your face.
Or come dressed up as a Krispy Kreme donut.
Then everyone will
everyone
love
will
you.
love me.
True, they'll all be trying to eat you, but they'll still love you.
I'm still a little bit caught back up on like how I can, throw myself at my own OC. It's just like, let's see, red eyes, no. Green hair, no.
Aww.
Female.
No.
That's probably, I think that one's the easiest fix though, to be quite honest.
Hey.
Heyo. That being said, I think everyone has thrown down their own chapter except for a certain one.
Yeah,
I think we're good.
Forgotten.
I think we can move on. I'm done. Podcast over.
Okay.
We're going home.
No, go ahead, Wolfie. Please enlighten us.
Well, actually, you just demonstrated the exact opposite to my point, which is socialize. Even if you are nervous as all get out, talk to someone.
Yes.
Or if you're a veteran at meetups, if you see a new person sitting off to the side looking kind of, out of it, go talk to them.
You might make some of the best friends you ever have. I can
Exactly.
I can guarantee that from experience.
As can I. I know more recently, I had a rather large LAN at my house, and I noticed there was one person sort of sitting off the side, not interacting as much. So, being the good host that I was, I decided, approach and have a bit of a talk with him. Turns out the person I was talking to was Space King, a rather prominent Australian brony artist. And during those 10 minutes, he actually was able to draw an entire picture of my OC getting stalked and about to be horribly, maimed by Slender Man, which probably isn't the nicest thing in the world. But at the same time, that probably, I doubt that would have happened. It might have if I hadn't approached him, but just, little things like that. You can meet, some of the most interesting people and be rewarded in some of the most unique ways just by being out there and throwing yourself out there to meet new people. So
yeah, because the last meetup that happened in South Australia, there was someone sitting off to the side, and they'd been sitting there for pretty much the entire time we were at the Botanic Gardens, which had been about an hour by then. And so I felt guilty at first seeing someone just because with South Australia, we're very tight-knit. We're like a big family kind of thing. Everyone pretty much knows each other.
That seems to be a South Australian thing, actually.
Yes. Shut up.
I wasn't making a pun, but thanks for filling that out.
In Queensland, we love everyone, so come to sunny Queensland and hang out with the formal Riot.
South Australia, everyone pretty much knows each other by now because a lot of the people that come are regulars. And so I went up to this person and sat down next to him and said, "Hey, how you going? I see you sketching. I'm an artist too. Want to talk?" And I spent the next hour talking to them, and that was really good.
I'd probably be the worst offender for just like sitting off to the corner and being quiet, because once it comes to new people, I'm just kind of like, "Hi, how are you doing?" and just shut down totally.
And that is why everyone hates you.
You know what? You're not going to have that excuse anymore. You do a podcast.
Exactly. I'm sorry, but
you can just go up and say, "Hey, I'm part of the Flankcaster."
Yeah,
how you going?
Flank inspector for the Flankcaster, and then you put on your sunglasses. Somewhere out there, the Who is screaming, "Yeah!" And next thing you know, you're just surrounded by all the ladies, all of them. Yeah! Who, great band. So there you have it, some tips and tricks from Flankcaster about how to survive, your first running meetup. And I hope you can use them and apply them. I'm sure a lot of people are already thinking they're already veterans of the entire thing, and who are these scrubs who are just running around flailing hopelessly. But it's been successful, I'd have to say, taking this advice. Take it to heart. It's good stuff. From there, I think it's about time we wrap up our first maiden voyage. The journey to the unknown, it has reached its end, unfortunately.
So sad.
And as a result, there are a lot of people actually I feel the need to thank for allowing us to even, get this far. Sort of an homage to fallen friends along the way. A huge thank you to Claude Kitty. A huge thank you to Tales Whispers. A huge thank you to Mr. Moonlight Siesta, Kibbles, and a thank you to the BAU Australian forums for getting us to this stage, as it were. And, we appreciate everything that you've done. And here we are now. Flankcaster is a thing.
We made it happen.
It's come there. And
No, wait, no. I did that completely wrong. Wait for it.
Oh my god, she does that so well.
It's amazing.
It's so disconcerting.
No, do feel accomplished, guys. You have successfully gotten to the point of producing your own podcast.
It is.
Yay!
It's a little overwhelming, not gonna lie. But honestly, I have yet to get to the biggest thank you, which would be to you, Keyframe, for coming along the show.
You guys are flatterers. You abduct me. You talk to me nicely.
Yep, and then when we're done, I'm going to give you a wonderful, wonderful shot that will just numb all the pain. For when I throw you into the river, you don't feel the drowning.
Yay.
Thus, you will have become ours forever.
Our special.
Our special. Of course, that will, I'm sure, delay the Fallout Equestria Project, but they'll move on. They'll recover and move on. So, huge thank you to you, Keyframe, for coming on. Also, for all you listeners out there, if you want to hear more from him, go and listen to the Act For podcast. He is a host there as well.
Yeah. It's a furry-centric podcast. It's actforonair.com. We try and make it friendly and fun for everybody, so don't feel afraid to come along. But if you're into your brony fix, then stick around with Flankcast, because they seem to know what they're doing.
Thank you so much for, again, being on. It's been a lot of fun to have you. So, with that, to all of our listeners...
See you later, guys. I've been Wolfie.
My name has been SpringStingray. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much for listeners. I've been the Formal Riot. I hope to shoutcast for you some more in the future. You can email us any questions or comments or anything you'd like to hear or see on the show at flankcaster@gmail.com. Flankcaster@gmail.com. Flankcaster@gmail.com.
Flankcaster@gmail.com.
That's from that ad. I'm not sure you guys remember that ad. It was like, head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Flankcaster@gmail.com. Flankcaster@gmail.com. So give us your, that is our email. Shout us, questions, comments, suggestions, what you'd like to hear. Good day, good evening. Formal Riot, out. See you later.